He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minutes!
Hello everyone, and welcome once again to Bat Minute and Robin. This is the podcast that would never deny you access to every moment of Joel Schumacher's Batman and Robin, 1 minute at a time. I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
And I am your other host with easily hackable passwords, John Parker.
This is your own name. Just get into what this is a disaster.
Yeah, some of them are J. Parker, Niall. Come on.
But to discuss all this, passwords and beyond, we have returning for the final time this week, Desmond Miller.
Yes, I'm back. Otherwise known as Shecky Davis Jr. from Speak Easily. We do a podcast as well, do a couple of weird stuff. Speak Easily TV is where you can find us. Our podcast is Speak Easily versus the 80s, in which we review schlocky 80s movies. If it was a piece of cinema trash, we reviewed it, or we're going to review it. So please check us out on any podcast aggregate or on YouTube as well, as we have some other weird skits that might be offensive to children. They're probably offensive to children. Don't show your kids.
It's almost definitely offensive to children, but in the best possible way.
We are here today to talk about minute 90 of Batman and Robin. Still not anywhere near done yet. Most movies would opt out at the 90-minute mark, but not Batman and Robin. It's got to keep on going. It opens with some access denial, and it ends a minute later with an old man's mug.
And I have to say, this was the worst minute to end me on, because I was like, he's getting ready to say something all profound, and then it ended. I was so into the scene too, and then I had forgotten that it was only a minute, and then it stopped, and I was like, wait, what? I was like, oh, damn it, it's the end. I was like, God.
Oh, you were devastated.
I was devastated. So they did this on purpose.
I know, Desmond, you've already laid down this groundwork for your anti-Clooney rhetoric that you're going to have. But, like, for the most part, like, this minute, the last part of it's like, oh my God, this is so solid. This is like really, really well done. But
is it really, though?
We'll get to it. I think first we have to deal with Barbara's hacking abilities here. Why would anyone assume
Oracle?
I guess that maybe she in her head is just like, he's an old man, he's not going to have a good password because none of them ever do, so she's like, yeah, his name, it'll be his name.
More ageist propaganda. I swear
this movie is
an old
ageist
man.
crap.
It's an old man, he can't have something strong.
Because this thing, literally typing in, I really wish she had just tried Al at one point.
Call me
Didn't hang
Al.
around with Dick Grayson too much.
No, because you need more than 3 letters for a password. So
Like an Alf.
There you go. Alf would have worked.
That was the thing I really enjoyed. In there's a recently released HBO Max Batman podcast where it's like an old radio drama, but it's like, radio serial of Batman, but it's nowadays and it's all modern celebrities doing it. It's actually pretty good. But one of the things I like in it, because I always defend Robin's, this version of Dick Grayson calling Alfred Al. I just like it. I just think it's that's a personal touch. And in that show, they have Melissa Villasenor from SNL and stuff. She's Robin, yep. And she keeps calling him Alf the whole time. And that spoke to me as well. I was like, I like Robin having an affectionate nickname for Alfred the whole time. It builds up much more of a rapport with him. She keeps calling Batman Boss all the time too, which I also really liked. So it's like Jeffrey writes Batman and Melissa Villasenor as Robin.
I love it.
And I was like, what are we doing tonight, boss? Well, Robin. But yeah, it was just saying like, well, not Al, Alf, Alfie D. No. Penny
Alfie D. Alfie D. Wouldn't it be Alfie P though? Because it's Pennyworth.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah,
but we all want Alfie's D.
Ooh.
I do wonder if she goes in like Alfred. Okay, Alfred's 01, Alfred's 02.
I love the.
She should have done that.
I love how her mind works. Like Alfred, no. Okay, what next? Wayne.
Jeez.
I think you need to be a
Come on.
bit more imaginative.
Like, come on, Cher, get it together, Cher.
Actually,
As
if you accept her as Cher, this makes sense.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like I'm so like at the screen, like as if. Stop it.
I'm getting flashbacks of her sitting down choosing her outfit. Like the beginning of Clueless, she has that bit where she's got the computer interface that chooses her clothes,
Which is
her.
incredible. Yes. We need that.
Yeah, she has a great little nod she does when she finally puts together the yellow checkered jacket with the yellow skirt and stuff.
But she makes that same face when she doesn't like. See, in the Clueless, when she's scrolling through, and you just brought this back, thank you. When she's scrolling through and she doesn't like it, she goes, She did that same face when it didn't work. I swear, this is the crossover we knew we never wanted.
Crossover we knew we never wanted.
I wanted it, damn it! I wanted it.
Because it's like you look at her and it's totally Cher.
I think in this scene especially, right, with the glasses on and stuff, I think she looks really cute.
Why can't she have 20/20 vision? Why does she have to put on glasses to try to make her look more smart?
Only nerds go on computers, Desmond. Everyone knows it's a nerd thing.
Again, we're making these women look all nerdy. And it's like, it's Alicia Silverstone. I mean, come on. Why would she not have 20/20 vision? Why does she need to put on reading glasses to work a computer?
In my head, I think she has just stolen Alfred's glasses. She's like, it could be like, these are like solid gold. I can sell these. Like, she's just be like, this has been worth like $9,000. These glasses alone.
I don't know though. It just took me out of it. I was like, okay, like sure, she's gonna put on some glasses. Okay, sure, whatever.
That's how you know she's serious about what she's doing.
And I think that's why people really liked Alicia Silverstone. Was she looked like this everyday girl. You know, she had that girl next door kind of look, and the way she talked, and it was like hi, and Clueless sort of cemented her into that kind of like, you know, that I'm kind of ditzy, but I'm smart. And you know, to which led, you know, Anna Faris. What's her? She was the oh my god.
Who did Legally Blonde? Because that's kind of similar.
Legally Blonde, exactly. That's the next one that I was thinking about was Legally Blonde. It's like Alicia Silverstone and some of the other, you know, blondes from the early 90s, Kelly Blunt. We were just talking about them. They kind of there's that actress, you know, that kind of looks like that. And I think that's one of the reasons why they left her blonde and didn't make her a redhead. And I think that was one of the major travesties of this movie.
And she wasn't a redhead.
That she wasn't a redhead. And I think, and I don't know why, I would really like to know. So if any of you listeners out there, or if either of you folks know, why did she stay a blonde? Like, I don't understand that.
I think it's purely coming off of the Clueless fame. It's like, well, she's a famous blonde. You can't change her hair. People, as you said, people like her because she looks like someone you might know. You went to school with that girl.
Nobody knows any redheads. Like,
no, but like if you change her hair and make it red, like in the comic, it seems less real. It seems more fantasy.
It also just feels as well like they wouldn't want to mess with her hair because it's just like it is like a commodity in Hollywood.
There's
as well.
Worry as well because wigs then looked crap.
Yeah,
and I think that's the thing. Plus, Poison Ivy was a redhead, and so you can't have. God forbid you have two redheads in a movie.
But wouldn't that have been an interesting contrast to make between the two characters?
With people at the end saying like, "There's two redheads fighting. I can't tell which is which anymore."
Hey, you know,
her fight scene at the end was just so silly anyway. So
there's lots of interesting. There's lots of interesting shades of red. You know, my hair when I can grow it, it's a brownie red. It's a dark red. It's a seductive red.
I have to say as well, I would prefer like the fact that it says like, you know, this little polite woman comes out and goes like access denied. I would prefer that infinitely than the dung. You get
I hate that.
Modern Microsoft computers where you do anything wrong, and it's just
Was that an Apple computer? Wasn't she working on a clamshell Apple?
Oh, actually, yeah, because you do see it. Yeah,
we did look up, if you remember, all the computers in this are Apples. Yeah.
Yeah. So they got that big money. Apple was like, "Let's give me this money."
Well, yeah, but back in this day and age, Apple still hadn't sort of come back, had they? They weren't hip until
97.
Yeah, when did they get hip again? When they
That's Alicia Silverstone using one.
They got hip again when the iPod came out.
I would suggest it might be slightly before that. Was it the iMac where they had the see-through monitor with the green back?
Oh, I don't know. I am not a computer person.
And it had that mouse that was like a circle, and there was no button. You just press the whole thing down.
I don't know.
Oh, see
I'm not, and I just started using a Mac like a couple of years ago. I was PC for life, and then I started doing much more digital work, and just Apple just works so much better for me. So.
Yeah, if they did actually do like a little access denied, or just you can't do that or something like that, instead of having a dung that you get in, like I would switch over to the Mac for that. Actually,
I think they should speak like properly and say, "I'm afraid you can't do that now."
So there you go.
So the worst you get is Avast antivirus.
Oh yeah, Avast is pretty good, but they've got a bit greedy with the ads.
Well, I'm not really know myself, but like when you go on to something that you're not supposed to go on to, they do both, because they'll have little things like threat has been detected, but it's after it goes dung dung dung. It's like you could just say threat has been detected. Like you don't have to like rattle my friggin' soul. But,
well, they got to make sure you're listening. God damn it!
I hate it so much.
I do.
You hear this?
I'm too sensitive for this kind of thing. It's like anytime any mildly loud noise, like if I'm walking down the street and a car beeps, like I will get a little like it just.
I want to throw something through their window.
Just hide in a bush.
Yeah. Screw them. Sod them.
Jump into a shrub.
So if any computer programmers are out there who are working for any big tech companies, please consider, lighter tones in future,
especially for me
systems.
and Niall, because we're clearly a little bit on the spectrum. So it affects us. It affects us people.
But although I can imagine after a while, much like Barbara kept saying access denied, I'd be like, oh, for God's sake, you end up hating that voice and stuff as well.
Well, Batman. That was a long tangent. So we see Bruce arriving home. And he's still kind of in Ivy's thrall a little bit, isn't he? But despite that, he's got Alfred on the mind.
Yes, Alfred is dying.
I feel really bad. He heads over to the old man, and they give each other... I liked this, but I'm getting the impression maybe you didn't, Desmond. They give each other a very comforting smile, and I found it very genuine and sweet.
Oh, this whole thing works so well for me. And they actually... We alluded to a couple of weeks ago and earlier in this week where things have been edited around here, where this scene originally comes earlier in the movie. This is when Alfred's first, the John Ingle, the doctor, is like, it's because he's non-Hodgkin's, it's McGregor's syndrome. Yeah. And it was supposed to cut to Bruce and Alfred having this little moment before he goes out to the telescope watchamajig. And I actually like it better here, though, because now it's like, Bruce is... It's almost as if he specifically come back. It's like, I need to get back to Alfred. Like, he actually does really care about him. So it's like, instead of like, oh, well, I'll have a little chat before I go out. It's like, no, like, I couldn't do it before, but, like, I have to go see him now. I like the fact that it's not, like, in that other scene, you would have known that Dick and Barbara were just hanging out by the door, like, listening to the whole thing. And I like this vibe of, like, you don't know where Dick is. Like, he's probably down in the Batcave. He's probably out somewhere. And Barbara's off, hacking, whatever. I like it. Bruce has waited until they're completely alone. And he comes in and there's just no music. Yeah. And it's very, very quiet. And it's just like, it's a real, like, it works for me as a moment of just like, there's a guy finally gearing up to be like, this is the talk I know I have to have with the guy. Where we have to just get it out in the open of like what's exactly happening. Like, you can't dodge around it anymore and be like, there's no more like a gentleman does not speak of his ailments. It is not civil. It's like now we have to flat out address what the hell is going on and stuff. And so this scene works beautifully for me thus far. But Desmond, if you have a rant prepared, you can feel free to go off now.
So I think the moment needed to happen, and it needed to happen this way. And so, yes, it works in that we finally get to see Bruce Wayne open up to Alfred in a way that we have not seen in any of the other subsequent films. We don't. And we hardly ever get to see Alfred in a place of weakness. Alfred has always been the steadfast one for Bruce, because Bruce has always been the broken child. And Alfred has always been that stone or Bruce's true north to help him. So yes, in that sense, the scene works. However, I am not buying George Clooney's acting at all. Sorry.
See,
I will quote Francine Smith from American Dad when I say, and I wrote it down, he uses the same cheesy move every time.
Yeah.
Look down, then look up, squinting under his eyebrows, and everyone is buying it. Just that every time he has to show any kind of sadness or emotion, it's the same move. Watch any movie he's been in.
I get it,
it's
right?
It's the same thing. Now, number one, maybe this is the first time that he's had a major box office, movie.
Yeah.
And part of this Batman franchise. So people are like not used to it. And this is the first time they're seeing, full Clooney on display. But, and I guess you could give him a pass for that, because this was really the first time that people were really just kind of, hit with it. But every time after that, it's just been the same. So now when I go back and I watch this movie, and when I saw this scene in particular, it just, everything happened like Francine said. So there is truth in that statement. And so I just am looking at him and I'm just like, find another way to emote, my friend. Please.
I will defend it on one count, right? Hear me out. Right? I'm not defending Clooney's acting in general, because I tried at the start of this season and it just didn't work. But you could say this is, and I'm gonna risk getting in trouble with certain people here, but I don't care. This is toxic masculinity, right? He doesn't want to show weakness. I know many people who, if they're sad, they'll do a similar thing. They'll kind of just look away, and they'll look off into the distance to be sad. They don't want you to see that they're sad.
Well, again, it's a guy who was growing up in a house of, a gentleman does not discuss his ailments. Like Alfred himself was very quiet and reserved. The people who clearly so didn't talk through their emotions that one of the guys who was mourning his parents ended up dressing up in a rubber suit and going around and punching people in the head. Like, it's.
The only reason why I don't buy that, the only reason why I do not buy that is because it comes off like he's trying to be sincere, and I think that's that. And I'm really, okay. In the context of the movie, and this is why you have to separate the actor from the performance, because in the performance, he's supposed to do that. He's supposed to look down because he does not want to see the fragility of this man that has been such a huge father figure to him.
Yeah.
So again, in the terms of the scene, it works, but it's a crutch for Clooney moving forward into his acting. And I think that's the problem that I get. So yes, I'm completely, John Finn, you were 100% correct that he doesn't want to see Alfred this way, because Alfred has been the father figure. He has been the rock for him. I totally understand that. I totally get it. and it totally works. It's just knowing, like George Clooney, 1997. Oh my God, look at how sensitive he is. Oh my God, oh, so handsome. Oh God,
oh, he's so perfect, isn't he?
Yeah, Desmond. Now George Clooney. 2021 is like, oh damn, we done seen this before.
So one of those things. Now you know to look for it. It's like the bell cannot be unrung.
Yeah,
when you know
exactly.
That's the thing.
Exactly, the bell cannot be.
But he still gets away with it now
because
arguably, I would say he's more handsome now.
Exactly. See, that's the thing. He's so charming, and that's why if you watch that episode in which Francine wants to get revenge on George Clooney, that episode is 100% factual. Seriously, go back and watch early George Clooney. You can watch Ocean's 11. You can watch this. You can watch it. Even watch some of his General Hospital, or not General Hospital, when he was on ER, when he had to emote to women. It's the same. Look down, gotta look up.
Because a woman can't see your emotions, damn it.
Exactly. And I'm just saying, and so I thought it was really kind of funny when I first saw that American Dad episode. But then when I really started to pay attention to his acting, it's like, oh my God, it's 100% real. So definitely take some time. Go watch that episode. It is a hilarious episode, by the way.
But I don't know 100%. if it'll improve anything for you in your opinion. But one of the things that Joel Schumacher mentions in the commentary is that this was the first scene they shot of the whole movie. So this is like George Clooney just found out the week before he's playing Batman.
Oh no, see that doesn't work for the actors, I don't think.
It's a very strange way to go about things, yeah. To be like, here's your most heavy-hitting, emotional thing with a guy you just met. Like, you could we could shoot this in 6 months' time when you've been together all friggin'.
Yeah, makes total sense. That now even makes even more sense that he's relying on something that he's done in the past so often, because he doesn't even know this person that he's acting with. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter, because sometimes you have to be. That's what acting is.
Yeah, but you've got to get into the headspace, right?
Could never happen in a billion years. It's one of those things. Like, I really wish we could have seen Michael Keaton's take on this scene. Like,
oh my God! I think Michael Keaton would have blown this away 100%. That's why I'm so excited that he's going to be in the Flashpoint movie. I think the Flashpoint movie is going to be garbage, but I think that's just my initial response, because DC doesn't know what they're doing, and so it's very much a hit or miss nowadays. But I think I'm so excited to see Michael Keaton reprise his role as Batman in that movie, and I really hope that it's good. So I
was really wondering, in any way in that movie, are they going to acknowledge Michael Gough? Because it will be like, it's not as if he's going to be there. Like, it's then what CGI Michael Gough. Yeah. Oh, he's got Alfred's head in a jar going around in robot legs or something. It's going to be like, well, you have to address the fact that Alfred's dead.
He's a head in a jar.
No, they're not going to say anything about Alfred. I can almost guarantee you. It's like
you just accept that he's dead, and this. I think we're supposed to just believe that this is still Michael Keaton.
Yeah, it's supposed to be implying that this is the same Bruce Wayne, totally. Which is why you're just like, if this was Michael Keaton, like the thing that people will talk about Batman and Robin would be like that great scene he has with Alfred at the friggin' bedside.
All the emotion that these two have been together so long, you'd be buying it. Yeah.
I just wanted to see what because Michael Keaton just has an oddness to him, like in his like I know what Christian Bale would do this, because I've seen Christian Bale I've seen him do these kind of scenes as Batman. In The Dark Knight, he was like, "Oh, you would have waited for me, Alfred." I go, but Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne. How would he look trying to cope with the death of a guy who we've seen at this point? We would have seen them through 4 whole movies together.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just sadly. Unless they do in the Flashpoint movies, like, I remember the night Alfred died, and they just have this scene, but it's just use the same footage, but it's just Michael Keaton in the tux, and he's like, "Yep, just reacting, saying the same lines, reacting to."
Be like, "What's on the floor? Why are you looking at the floor? Did you drop a penny?" It's like, I don't know. It's just, I really thought that the scene. Remember, I saw this 3 times in the theater, and every time I was floored by it. And it isn't until I watched these minutes again with my cynical, 45-year-old eyes that I thought, oh, George Clooney, so yeah, some of the the misty has cleared up and it's worn off a little bit. But in service of the movie, I think it is a really good scene. And at the time, I really believed that George Clooney did sell it. And I did think that the actor playing Alfred, unfortunately, I can't remember his name.
Michael Goff.
He really played it well. Yeah. And I think the reason why he played it so well was because he had been Alfred for 4 movies. So I really believe that he was able to sell it so much more and really carry the brunt of that scene. And then you killed me at the end because my minute ended right in middle dialogue, and I was like, no.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So now I have to go watch this movie now.
But you get some good stuff along the way, like you get. There's one thing I was a little bit confused on, and if I interpreted it right, I liked it. Does Bruce say here, I've spent my entire life trying to beat back death? It was hard for me to make the line out, and it isn't in the draft.
Well, that's one of the things, too, of, like I said, when I was a kid, and I used to watch George Clooney movies on VHS.
George Clooney mumble films, yeah.
Yeah. Could not understand a goddamn word
he just kind of goes like this all the time. Yeah.
I rewatched Out of Sight recently. And there's scenes I still don't know what the hell he's saying. And just like Jennifer Lopez talking to him and him going like, bah, bah, bah. And you're like, what? Get the subtitles. What did he say? And you can just imagine the subtitles just an emoji of someone shrugging. Going like, I don't know what the hell.
That's what I was like here. I listened to that line maybe 15 times and was like, I think that's what he's saying.
Yeah, pretty sure I keep trying to beat back death. And like, but it is a real like,
well, in that case then, if that's what he's saying, that's a great line. That's emotional. The dialogue is fantastic. Because Bruce is feeling low. Because no matter what, like, power he might have obtained through both being rich and being the Bat, it's not enough to help Alfred.
Well, it was hilarious, though, because it's like, I had to beat back death. And I'm like, really? I've seen your villains.
Oh.
Like, okay, buddy.
I love Michael Goff's approach to the scene too, because like Alfred, his version of Alfred is, not all the time, but a lot of it is always, stony face, very like, I suggest you take a sandwich with you, sir. Like it's all formality and stuff. You get the occasional smile out of him, but he has he likes to keep himself, prim and proper and all this business. So Bruce coming in now for them to have this talk. The fact that he's just smiling. It's just like everything's let go. It's like he almost has a vibe of like there's no more bow tie, there's no more white gloves. Like this is all. I'm just gonna be completely honest with you now, kid. I'm at the gates and I've got nothing. Nothing's gonna get held back anymore. And it's like
and I can't believe they let him die at the end. I was very surprised by that.
They should. Would it redeem Batman and Robin in many people's eyes if Alfred had actually died at the end of it? Because it feels like he needs to die for it to have any kind of. It's just such a flimsy like, oh, he's back, he's fine now.
Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
It's like we're fine here. Everything's fine. How are you?
I mean, it doesn't. I mean, I don't know if it really undercuts the emotional tone of that scene. I think it just. I mean, it had to have an happy ending. I mean, come on. This was pre. Like, grim and dark Batman. So
well, that's what's weird about this scene, actually. And I like contrasting kind of tones, but this doesn't feel like it belongs in this movie.
No,
and that's it's too contrasting to me.
This scene,
this is very serious.
Or the whole narrative of him dying.
Well, just the whole thing, the whole plot. This is very serious.
Well,
it's very literal. It's very dark, we can relate to it, and then the rest of it is so fantastical,
Well, I think the main problem with it is they had to have this kind of B plot of him dying and Alicia Silverstone coming to see him and all this other stuff, and then having him die of the same disease that is affecting Mr. Freeze's wife. I was just kind of like, okay. And then it just, I think the whole thing was a bit too ham-fisted, and it didn't need to be that because they didn't explore like the commonalities that Bruce Wayne and Mr. Freeze have, because they have a loved one that's being affected by this. And I thought it'd be a much better movie if they had have cut out Poison Ivy 100% and just made it be him versus Mr. Freeze, and then having to, come to grips about both of these ailing people, and they're both fighting to save them or something like that. I think that would have been a much better movie. And I think that a movie like that would be a bit more sophisticated than the one that we got, but that's not what they were trying to do. And I think that's the problem with these movies now, is because they've used so many really good Batman villains, because I think Spider-Man has the same sort of problem, is they've used a lot of really good villains in these movies, and so for whatever reason they don't feel like using the other one. The Joker is the only one that gets a pass, but you don't really see them, and Catwoman, because Catwoman is always the love interest for Batman. And I really wish that nowadays, but I really wish that they would just let those movies be, and then allow them to explore more contemporary, not grounded, but because they're fantasy movies or action or superhero movies, but it'd be able to explore more stuff with Poison Ivy, with Mr. Freeze, and just allow them to use these characters over again. Damn, Marvel did it with all of the X-Men cast, with all the X-Men. So why shouldn't they be able to do it with Batman stuff? So
it's true. Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff. Yeah, a lot of great ideas in this movie in terms of you could totally have an entire Mr. Freeze plot and just be the movie tying into Alfred's sickness and whatnot. And you could also totally have a separate Poison Ivy movie where it's about the Bat family falling apart because of, tensions between Bruce and Dick. And it's just 2-hour movie, jam it all in together. And it's the two themes don't work with each other. You could have had a whole thing about Bruce has a lot of genuine affection and love for Alfred, where that's different to the lust that Poison Ivy would bring out in somebody. Ways you could weave this all in.
Yeah,
but they just kind of have it they're just we don't have time. We don't have time to have another pass at the script, so go shoot the thing. It has to be out in July.
And it's and that's the thing. It's we has to be out in July. We got toys that we got to promote, and it's it's the same thing that happened with Spider-Man 3. And I think that's the problem is it gets to be too grandiose. It has to be more than the second movie. It has to be more than the first movie. It has to be more, and I'm just no, it doesn't. And so that's why this new Batman that's coming out, they're stripping it down. We're getting a Riddler, and we're getting the Penguin, although I think Penguin is more of a side character.
Yeah,
and we get Catwoman, because this is supposed to be the year one, Frank Miller Batman. And it's I get it. I understand why we're here, but again, enough with the pendulum, to this grit and this grit and dirty Batman. Can we just be a little less? I watched Aquaman. I watched Aquaman for the first time, or Aquabro. Watched it for the first time 2 nights ago, and I have to say that was a really fantastic movie. And it wasn't. It had stakes. It was good. I loved the fantastical world that James Wan created. And I'm thinking Batman doesn't have to be dark and brooding all the time. He doesn't need to be that. But it sure as hell doesn't need to be what Joel Schumacher. The reason why I'm saying all this is because this is my last minute and I got to get it in, people. So stick with me. So again, I love these movies. I've seen them multiple times. Especially this one. It was one of my favorites growing up. And it just, it's just a really good movie if you accept it for what it is.
But Desmond, this time of the week we usually do ask, because Batman and Robin is so reviled as one of the worst movies ever made, we are asking guests what the worst movie they've ever seen is, and knowing like that you have a whole podcast about like trashy schlock cinema, I'm genuinely like, what would you find to be like the absolute bottom?
So are you asking? Okay, so are you asking as like a guilty pleasure, or are you asking about?
No, it's more of a this hurt your soul to watch,
like burned my soul to watch.
Yeah.
You know what's the weird thing about that is there hasn't been many movies that have really like just burned my soul 100%. Like I've seen movies that I'm just kind of like, oh, okay, I have one, and even thinking about it is starting to make me well up because thanks a lot, you guys. But it was. So again, I am a comic book nerd through and through. Started reading when I was in my early teens. Just indoctrinated really, really early, and I've read comics and I love them 100%. And it always was Marvel, make mine Marvel. And so when they started making Marvel movies, I was just like, I was loving it. Like me and my friends, we saw the first X-Men movie so many times, and I literally saw with a really good friend of mine sitting in the front row looking up. And when Wolverine popped his claws for the first time, my friend Jeff is a huge Wolverine fan, and he just giddied with glee to finally see it in the big screen. So I've loved movies, especially comic movies, for the longest time, and I've sat through all of them, most of them. But and when Marvel was going through their bankruptcy, and we were all worried, and then the movies came, and then Marvel started to pick up steam, and they tried to, and people were out there trying to do their stuff. We had the Fox X-Men, we had Marvel doing their own thing, we had all these different things, and it was just like a plethora. I'll call it the golden age of movies, of comic book movies. And the Fantastic Four came out, and I'm like, okay, I enjoyed them. They were fantastic, pun intended. And I thought the second one was better than the first one. But that last one that they did, that Fantastic Four reimagining,
oh yeah,
it literally burnt my soul. It tore me in half watching that crap. I just sat there and just got more and more angry, and I'm looking at it, I'm trying to see the good in it, I'm trying to understand what they're trying to do, but it just seems like everything about that movie was just so lazy, and it was just so like, it was just like, it literally felt like one of those things where you have to make something in order to keep the rights to something, and it just every possible wrong thing they could do, they did in that movie. And I did not like Batman versus Superman. I didn't like it. I thought it was bloated and overdone.
You're not alone.
And I haven't watched the Snyder Cut. I refuse to watch the Snyder Cut. I've already seen the movie. I don't need to see the Snyder Cut. I watched the CinemaSins version of it, and that was done. I didn't need to see anymore. That was just because I just wanted to watch something while I was lying in bed, when I thought I saw the gist of the movie, what I needed to see. But that Fantastic Four movie, that last one, just set my soul on fire. I literally was sitting there with one of my closest and dearest friends, Rich. We used to do a podcast called The Geek Chat, and we would review comic movies after we saw them. And I just was so sad at the end of seeing that movie and realizing that it's going to be a long time before we see a Fantastic Four movie in the theaters, like a long time.
I remember my, because I watched it and I was like, yeah, that was a stinker, but I wasn't that invested in Fantastic Four. So I was like, well.
Read it all. I read it so many. Oh my God.
But I know my friend Anthony, he was really, really into it. And he was just like, he saw it first. So he just messaged me saying, like, Ben Grimm's older brother routinely beats him up, like in a very miserable, abusive household, and he opens these beatings by saying it's clobbering time, and he just says like, that just sucked the fun right out of that.
Yep. Jesus Christ, that's dark.
And I was just like, I just didn't need it. Like, I just did not need it. Everything about the movie was just.
But to end things on a more positive note, we always then ask the guests, like, well, is there a movie, much like a lot of people, such as yourself, Desmond, really love Batman and Robin? Is there a movie out there that you really, really love, but is regarded as being bad? Except Batman and Robin now, because I guess you actually genuinely do love this movie as well.
Well, Batman and Robin definitely, because it was just horrific, and it was just, bad. And keeping with the whole comic book theme, I guess I would have to say, this is going to be silly, but I really enjoyed Mystery Men. Yeah, and I don't know if I think it's has a cult standing now.
One of our friends, Dave Pallas, has a Movies by Minute show about Mystery Men.
So I don't know, like my young mind seeing all of these movies back in the day in the 90s and thinking, okay, they're adapting these properties, I'm going to get all kinds of weird stuff, and then having like these super crazy comedians who were like, this, it literally was like I think it was like Singles, almost, that movie Singles with Cameron Crowe, when it was just like about the 90s. It's like, this is like a 90s version of what a superhero movie would be, like, it is just so quintessentially 90s that I'm just like, oh Lord, So that movie was good. Oh, and I love Steel. You Can Laugh Me, bro. Shaquille O'Neal. I loved Steel. I thought it was great. And I think
Steel's one of those ones, though, because it looks to me like it's made for TV, though. Like, it's such a weird. It's not the same year as Batman and Robin, I think. And
no, I think it was, yeah. And I absolutely loved it. I love Meteor Man with Robert Townsend, fantastic movie. And then the last ones that I will say were the ones that popped out, and people were it was like a sort of a renaissance when people were trying to get it going, the comic book movies, and that would be The Phantom, which I thought was fantastic with Billy Zane. I really loved that movie, and The Shadow with Alec Baldwin. I think
I'm sensing those seem to be a renaissance of The Shadow. Like,
yes.
The past while, I've noticed a lot of people reappraising it.
So those especially The Phantom. I absolutely adored The Phantom. I loved it. I've always been a huge fan of Billy Zane. I think Love and Concrete with him and Jennifer Bills is a fantastic movie. So bizarre.
Plus, you're talking to two Twin Peaks fans, and we even like him in that.
Oh, yeah. So I was a huge fan of Billy Zane, and when he was in the Death Knight or Demon Knight for Tales of the Crypt,
Demon Knight is an amazing movie.
Fantastic movie. So those were the movies that I think were I think they got crapped on a little too much for what they were. Maybe not Steel, because fun, but I still think and Meteor Man, but they were at a time in which Black folks were finally getting some much needed representation in the superhero genre, and we really haven't seen anything like that in a very long time. And I think nowadays you can't have those type of movies now because of so much studio interference. And that's why you have stuff, just to get on my soapbox, hold on, I'm putting my soapbox to stand up on it. That's why you're having fanboys get, all butthurt and in their feelings about the Eternals, which is getting review bombed. And it's like, because you have these big budgets and you have these big, these big studios, that's why all these people are kind of watching at it. I mean, before, it wouldn't have mattered. Like, we had, Black folks doing stuff, but it was all this, and it never really had any gay people, but it's just, back in the day in the 90s when people didn't know what to do with these movies, you'd get like 50 million, like 25 million. You go make a movie, and that's fine. I mean, hell, Shaq made like 4 or 5 of them
somehow,
and it was just, and it's like, and so nowadays it's like, because there's big money behind it now folks are, choosing to get all super butthurt and stuff. Sorry, that's a rant. We step off my shoebox.
That's exactly what we want.
Soapbox. But for me, it's those movies, and I would love for them to remake or do a new thing for the Shadow, new thing for the Phantom. Just do that stuff. That stuff is all right for being remade now. Like they're just sitting there, collecting dust. I mean, do a new Flash Gordon movie if you want. Prince Valiant, it's all there. Do it.
Yeah.
We will be off now into the dark, dark night. I would normally ask you to do your plugs, but you kind of did them at the start of the episode, so screw it. Go listen to the start, people, if you want to hear more of Desmond. And, we're all on the usual Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Go to our website, thebatminute.com, because someone stole batminute.com. And look up the Sleepy Charlie Media TeePublic page. So check all that out, and we'll be back on Monday, listeners.
Thank you again for having me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for coming on. You're always a welcome guest. Well, yes, we will be back on Monday with more Bat Minute and Robin. Are we doing an outro?
Next time, deathbed declarations. There's more memories emerging from the manor's midst, as a mournful millionaire and his milady-written major domo continue to reminisce. The atmosphere is arduous and making us all glum, but can the melancholy be mended by overdue admissions between a father and a son? Make sure to bring some tissues for our next issue on Monday. Batmites, same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.
We'll be back.